New Thought Media Network. We are a global broadcast network of positive music, media, and entertainment, inspiring humanity's evolution along the journey of enlightenment and creating a world of love, peace, empowerment, and prosperity for all. New Thought Media Network. Positively inspiring. New Thought Media Network. We are a global broadcast network of positive music, media, and entertainment, inspiring humanity's evolution along the journey of enlightenment and creating a world of love, peace, empowerment, and prosperity for all. New Thought Media Network. Positively inspiring.
Live from a secure concrete bunker somewhere in Ohio, New Thought Media Network presents Pastor Michael Mangus with Friday's Fireside Chat, spiritual conversation for today. Here he is from the secret radio room, surrounded by thousands of watts, Pastor Michael Mangus.
Well, yeah. Well, good evening, everyone. A happy Friday evening to you. This is another fun-filled, thrill-packed, and yes, guaranteed edition of the Fireside Chat here on your New Thought Media Network. I am Reverend Michael Mangus, and I am broadcasting this evening from the secret radio room, surrounded by thousands, and I mean thousands of watts, in an extremely secure concrete bunker, somewhere around Akron, Ohio. That is so top secret that only one person, and that is my former producer, Diego Reyes. Only he knows where the top secret bunker is located. No one else, especially the Reverend Jeff Radcliff and the Reverend Dr. Robert Brzezinski, they have no clue where the top secret bunker is located, and we are going to keep it that way. I always love saying that. Well, we do have a wonderful show for you this evening. Good to have you tuned in. Please feel free to interact with us. We are live tonight, so post your comment on Facebook or on YouTube. And again, all my shy people out there, I know you're out there. You don't want to post anything up. I got that. Send me an email, pastormichaelmangus@gmail.com, pastormichaelmangus@gmail.com. So the purpose of our fireside chat is to talk about contemporary issues from a New Thought perspective. So we are not sweeping under the rug what is going on in the world, as happened in the past, where we don't pay attention to the news. And as I keep saying week after week, I want us all to have a new thought about what is going on all around us, not only here in the U.S., but also globally. And again, you do not have to agree with either myself or my guest commentator, Jeff Radcliff, this evening. We just want you to think. We want you to examine what is going on in your life, and also to know that you are not only a part of the situation, because we're all one, but you're also a part of the solution. So once again, all the way from the great state of Tennessee, as he yawns.
No, it was a cough.
Oh, a cough. Okay. Once again, we welcome back to our studio Divine Science Minister, the Reverend Jeff Radcliff. And Jeff always has a comment or two about the news. Jeff, how are you doing this evening?
I'm okay. I'm doing okay. It's been a challenging few days since last time I was here.
Okay.
microwave died, my car battery died, and the refrigerator started to die. So I got a replacement for the microwave
Okay.
because it was like totally dead. Got the refrigerator repaired this afternoon, and we'll be getting the new battery for the car probably tomorrow. So yeah,
Interesting week, huh?
you know that credit card commercial that asks what's in your wallet.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sitting here thinking about these things, and I'm saying, well, what's in your consciousness? And I thought, well, I can't ask myself that because that would be spiritual malpractice. Malpractice if I were to ask that of anybody else. Why am I asking it of myself? What's in my consciousness now is that my good is coming to me,
Yes.
and it did. I had money to pay for the repair on the refrigerator. I had money to buy the new microwave, and I've got money for a new battery. So hey, there you go.
There you go. How wonderful. All right. I'd like to wish you a very happy Father's Day coming up
Thank you.
this coming Sunday here. And I was wondering, is Lily, your wonder dog, is she going to serve you breakfast in bed?
Are you kidding me? No,
She's not even going to call out the Waffle House for an order?
no. See, since my son is 500 plus miles away, Lily's all I got in the way of babies running around the house.
Right.
But she's of the selfish baby variety. She wants me to cook it and then share it with her rather than vice versa.
And
So
your son is now,
he'll be 30 in January. So he's 29 right now.
and he's a teacher, is that correct?
He's doing he's a substitute teacher right now.
Oh, okay. Wonderful. He's going back to school now, right? Again?
No, he graduated last May a year ago with his master's in secondary ed.
Wow. Wow. Well,
I'm proud.
you are. And his first name?
Aaron.
Aaron
Well,
Hay.
his name is Jeffrey Aaron, but to distinguish him from me, we use his middle name.
Okay. Well, you got a hell of a dad. That's what I want to tell Aaron. Good guy. So no matter what other people may say, especially on Facebook.
Have you noticed that
Okay.
Have you noticed that I have pulled way back on Facebook?
You've been good lately.
I have, because I decided that I was not going to let social media get the best of me, because every time I get on Facebook or I read comments in a news story like on Yahoo or one of these other news outlets, it just drives me crazy. And I decided that I would rather have my peace of mind, that my peace of mind was more important, and that I don't need to jump into the fray every time somebody says something stupid. So I have scars all over my tongue from biting it.
Yes.
I'm surprised I'm not anemic from the loss of blood, but it is what it is.
Well, I've been trying to post as much pride stuff up there as possible.
Mm-hmm.
Because I know I have some individuals out there who, well, anyhow, let's just say that they are anti-LGBTQIA+.
Yeah, I don't deal good with those people.
We have some great stories though tonight.
17. What is with you? 17. He sends me 17 pages of stuff.
Of copy.
Let's talk about some of these things here. Like, I've got a life. I've got a repairman coming, and you want me to read 17 pages?
Okay,
So I compromised and didn't read anything.
You didn't read anything.
I figured what I could do is I'll wing.
You'll wing it. Well,
Yeah, I'll wing.
Here's your girlfriend.
Yeah, I know.
Your girlfriend's here.
Yeah, well, she's one of two, and Diana knows about the first one, but the first one didn't know about Diana until I spilled the beans the other day.
Okay.
And she said, "You probably shouldn't have told me about her." And I said, "Well, do you want a man who tells you the truth or a man who lies and runs around behind your back?" And she goes, "Well, that's a good question. Let me ask my husband."
Hold it.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a double rim shot.
I know, right?
Well, we have those this evening because I'm not going to give away the story, but if we get to the story, that I'm going to use the rim shot a lot.
Okay.
If we get to that story, but first,
you did ask me. You did ask me to look for a couple of things. Have a couple of things prepared, and I didn't. I went and looked something up real quick. It's hilarious, but it's highly inappropriate for the show. So we won't.
You just don't want to get me called into the office on Monday afternoon.
Here's the thing. They say the one who laughs last is the slowest, and the one who laughs first has the dirtiest mind.
Right.
Well, I read this thing and I fell out, and so I'm thinking to myself, because I have the God-given ability. It's my superpower to take any innocent conversation and drag it directly down into the gutter. And so I think to myself, well, this one I can't use. That's
the reason they call you the irreverent reverend.
Yeah.
You have a reputation to uphold.
I do. Who knew that being a little foul mouthed, once in a while, dropping a choice word here and there, could get you such a following.
I know. All right. Do we have to do the news? Okay.
I'll do a little of it.
All right. Well, the Supreme Court is about to end its deliberations for the year, so it's dropping all of its rulings now. So it came out with two rulings this week. The Supreme Court on Thursday unanimously rejected a lawsuit challenging the FDA's approach to regulating the abortion pill. It's mifepristone. I was going to say that.
You were not.
Yes, I was. I corrected that.
You can't pronounce that word.
Yes, allowing the drug to stay on the market. Well, what's the other name for it?
I don't know.
It's RU
486. There you go.
There you go.
Right.
The ruling is a significant setback for the anti-abortion movement in what was the first major Supreme Court case on reproductive rights since the court's conservative majority overturned Roe v. Wade a couple of years ago. The challenge to the drug has been vehemently opposed by the pharmaceutical industry, which warned that the ruling that the second-guess the regulation for the drug could open the door to legal challenges targeting all sorts of medication. Now, I know that most New Thought centers and ministers support a woman's right to choose.
Right.
And as a man, I may not support abortion. However, it isn't my ethical or moral right to tell another woman what to do. That is her choice between her and her doctor, not me. And the limiting of safe legal abortions limit doctors in providing proper health care to women. So a safe and effective way of terminating pregnancy through this medication, which has been used for years, and the Supreme Court in an unanimous decision said this is not our ball game here, which I feel is a victory for women. Your comment, Reverend Jeff Radcliff.
Not only did the Supreme Court say that it was not their deal, because it wasn't, they also dismissed, I think it was an amicus brief by 3 doctors who are anti-abortion. They provide I guess they provide gynecological services, but they counsel their patients against abortion.
They're slick.
What happens whenever they have one of their patients who has something majorly medical come up? They're going to let her die? No, they're going to have to send her to somebody else. But they dismissed these doctors' amicus brief because they said they had no standing. They said, you're not performing abortions. You're not allowing you're not allowing any of this. You've got no standing in this. You've got no reason to even be here. And so they just kind of waved him away. Kind of put me in mind of Glinda the Good Witch. To be gone before somebody drops a house on you. They just kind of wave these doctors out of the courtroom.
My late mother, God rest her soul, she used to picket at the abortion clinics.
Ooh.
And they are slick at these anti-abortion clinics. And I'll just put that in quotes. So what they do is they do the ultrasound to convince the woman to go ahead and to keep their baby. They also, during the when they tell the woman that she's pregnant, they also present a set of baby booties knit by these grandmothers to kind of hammer home the fact that, oh, you have a life in you, and you're going to have a baby. And it really is, I find it to be very manipulative. And also, it does not give the woman information to go ahead and to make a decision for her, for the unborn, and also for her family. We don't know the situation, Jeff Radcliff.
Exactly. I think playing on their heartstrings like that is wrong. Despicable is more the word I would rather use. Is that life? Yeah, that's life. But that life is not viable until such and such a time. And even after the point of viability of that fetus, anything could go wrong with it.
Right.
Did you to use tactics like that, not knowing, and this is early on in the woman's pregnancy, they don't know what's going to happen later on and what choices she's going to be faced with. So for them to do that is just beyond the pale.
So that the Catholic Church does not baptize stillborn.
Yeah. And that's fine.
Because they say that I will viable life. Go ahead.
I will step in locally to anybody who wants to have their child baptized if they're stillborn, if the church won't do it for them. Because I think that's spiritually, I think it's spiritually unsound, but that's me.
If any one of the folks who are watching this evening, hello there. If you would like to comment, please do so. We would appreciate your comment either on Facebook or on YouTube. All right. Our next story also involves the Supreme Court.
Hit me, Trixie. All right.
The Supreme Court on Friday struck down a federal ban on bump stocks approved by President 45 the latest opinion from the conservative court rolling back the firearms regulation. Justice Clarence Thomas, who they're finding out more and more each and every day that he's been accepting these very expensive trips by billionaires, wrote the opinion for the 6-3 court. The court's liberal ring, led by Justice Sonia Sotomayor, dissented. And Trump had pushed for the ban in response to a 2017 mass shooting that killed 58 people at an outdoor music festival in Las Vegas. Let me stop there. Oh, did he get heat from the NRA for doing that? He got a lot of heat for that. Bump stocks allow a shooter to convert a semi-automatic rifle into a weapon that can fire at a rate of hundreds of rounds a minute. And so Thomas wrote this. He says, a bump stock does not convert a semi-automatic rifle into a machine gun any more than a shooter with a lightning fast trigger finger does. I can't make this stuff up. So Thomas wrote in his opinion, even with a bump stock, a semi-automatic rifle will fire only one shot for every function of the trigger. So then Judge Sotomayor wrote in a scathing dissent that she went ahead and she presented live from the bench, which is extremely rare, that the majority ruling will have deadly consequences. The decision, she wrote, hamstrings the government's efforts to keep machine guns from gunmen like the Las Vegas shooter. When I see a bird that walks like a duck, swims like a duck, and quacks like a duck, I call that bird a duck, said Sotomayor in dissent. Lily. See, even Lily's upset about this.
Yeah.
A bump stock equipped semi-automatic rifle fires automatically more than one shot without manual reloading by a simple function of the trigger. Because I, like Congress, call that a machine gun, I respectfully dissent. Your comments, Reverend Jeff.
I'm not a Clarence Thomas fan by any stretch of the imagination. He did say one thing that is correct.
Okay.
That a semi-automatic rifle, you need to pull the trigger, and each time you pull the trigger, it releases a bullet. Whereas an automatic weapon, you pull it one time, and it shoots out a lot of bullets. That's the only thing he got right. When he said that even with a bump stock, a semi-automatic rifle will only fire one shot for every function of the trigger, what he's saying is your finger actually pulling the trigger. He's wrong, because that bump stock is made specifically to fire more bullets with only one single trigger pull. So that's where he's wrong. And Judge Sotomayor and the rest of Congress who she mentioned on there, they're right. That's exactly what it's doing. Is it's making a semi-automatic weapon into an automatic weapon. That's why we don't allow private citizens to own automatic weapons in this country. So to get around that, no, we don't. You can have a semi-automatic, but you cannot have an automatic weapon.
Right.
Those are reserved only for the military and for law enforcement. And so they came up with this bump stock as a way to kind of sort of get around that and give folks an automatic weapon.
It's just this very loose interpretation of the Second Amendment that says that individuals can bear arms only for the use in a well-regulated militia. That's the Second Amendment, and that the courts have ruled over the years that that means that you can have as many guns as you want, stock up as much ammo as you want, because of that extremely, when they wrote the Second Amendment, they had like muskets. Okay. They didn't have semi-automatic rifles. They didn't have that kind of stuff back then. But again, because of this, and they did have a ban on semi-automatic weapons back in the Reagan administration when President Reagan got shot, unfortunately. And so it's just, I just don't understand that we can't come, again, all of America cannot come to the fact is that there's too many guns out there, that we need more regulation like other countries to stop, especially the killing of our children in schools. They have shooter drills now. Whereas you and I, when we were growing up, we had the worst thing we ever had was a tornado drill. So your comments, Jeff Radcliff.
I've noticed that lately the argument about the well-regulated militia seems to be turning. The predominant view from most sane Americans is they're actually talking about an organized group of people who are watched over. That's not the word I want to use. I'm not sure what word I want to use. Supervised. There you go. That's a good word. By they've got commanders and whatnot who are making these decisions. That's what kind of like the way the Army is now, or the Marines, or whoever. But some of these people now, some of these really rabid gun owners are saying, "Oh no, back in the mid and late 1700s, when all these guys were writing these things down for the country, well regulated meant it was in good working order. That they can't take away your weapons because if you're well regulated, meaning you've got a musket that you oil and you take care of, and you make sure that it's in good working order."
Now, where's the Supreme Court in a decision like that? They said Roe v. Wade was not good law. Okay, so they went ahead and they said Roe v. Wade is not constitutional. And so they go ahead and they let go of that. And then they don't take a look at the Second Amendment and say, this is an overextended interpretation of that you can have any kind of weapons that you want at your home. It just makes me shake my head.
Yeah, and I can't remember the justice several years ago who addressed this very issue, and he said something to the effect. I wish if I could think of his name right now, I'd look him up real quick. But he was saying that this idea of the well-regulated militia and not infringing on someone's right to bear arms did not give people unlimited access to firearms. He totally disagreed with that. Unfortunately, we have a Supreme Court that would prefer to kowtow, shall we say, to some of the more radical folks in our country.
Yes, unfortunately. All right. Your girlfriend says, if I'm understanding what you said, this bump stock, I think she meant to say is it turns it allows for more rounds to be fired. Is that correct again?
Yeah.
Okay.
Basically.
All right. Well, I'll tell you what. Let's go take a real fast break here. Hold it. Making an semi-automatic gun. This way, Trump can use
It's his support. Yeah. If they
his
allow
supporters to
Trump
take over the government illegally. Yes,
Yeah.
this is a very interesting election season and election year that we have. And that is why I am, and Jeff is, and everyone that I know is encouraging everyone to go vote. Make sure that you're still registered. In Ohio, they are going to purge the records coming up. Purge the election records. So make sure that you are registered to vote in the November election. And you can do that by going onto the Secretary of State's website and making sure of that. Go vote, go vote, go vote, especially this year. Jeff Radcliff.
What's interesting is the state of Tennessee got into some trouble, and I think it was the circuit court that put this down. It didn't go as far as the U.S. Supreme Court, but they have made it virtually impossible for felons who have been released to regain some of their voting rights. Now, granted, there are some violent felons out there who don't deserve to have their voting rights. But there are other felons who have served their time. They paid their debt to society, whatnot. And according to the law that they wrote, they can petition to have their voting rights restored.
Yes.
However, they have laid all these restrictions on them. You have to have all this money paid, all these fines and fees and stuff. And they just pull these things out of thin air and say, oh, you owe $500 for this, and you owe $250 for that, and you have to have all this paid, and you have to have all this paperwork, and you have to have a pint of blood and your firstborn child, and all this stuff going on. And the court said, you know what? That's not fair to them. You have to give these people a fighting chance to get their voting rights back. You have an election coming up. You need to get this done before the election.
Absolutely.
And now the state of Tennessee is saying, well, that's not enough time for us to rewrite everything and to go over all the rules that we've made up. They could just rescind all the rules and just write up a new paper, have it printed out, and let them But no, we can't do it because it's too close to the election. We just don't have time.
Oh man!
So.
Let me take a quick break, and then we'll be right back. All right. So you hang in there in the green room, have some beverages and snacks there in your green room.
What beverages? I didn't get the shipment. Sorry.
Oh, you didn't? Okay. We'll be back with Reverend Jeff here in just a moment. Just to let everyone know that this coming Sunday, yours truly is currently parking himself at Summit Center for Spiritual Living. So go to summitcsl.org for more information. And this Sunday, we will have a wonderful service honoring Father's Day with one of our musicians and father, Tim Morrow. So just go to summitcsl.org for more information on how to join our Zoom call. We would love to see more of you on Sunday. All right. You are invited. And I found out something. Diana's people got with Jeff's people. They did lunch. So not this Sunday, but the following Sunday on the 23rd. Guess who will be speaking at Summit Center for Spiritual Living? Yes, all the way from Tennessee via satellite. It will be the Reverend Jeff Radcliff. So again, go to summitcsl.org for more information. We are going to take a quick break, and then we will be right back. This is the Friday evening fireside chat here on your New Thought Media Network.
Please help us say thank you to our organizational sponsors, including the Hefferland Foundation, Affiliated New Thought Network, International New Thought Alliance, Science of Mind Archives and Library Foundation, Center for Spiritual Living Denver, Center for Spiritual Living Midtown, New Thought Philadelphia, Planned Happiness Institute, Summit Center for Spiritual Living, One Heart Retreats, Center for Spiritual Living on the Lake, Unity Kitchener, Unity Spiritual Center Ottawa, Om Center for Spiritual Living, Satya Center, Begin Within Ministries, Center for Spiritual Living North Jersey, Unity of Savannah, and the Center for Spiritual Living Seattle, as well as all of our individual donors. Thank you for being part of the New Thought Media Network. Please like, share, and subscribe. New Thought Media Network, positively inspiring.
The views and opinions expressed by Pastor Michael Mangus are generally right. However, they are his own and do not reflect the views and opinions of New Thought Media Network, Centers for Spiritual Living, or any other person living or dead. As they say in the 12-Step Recovery Program, take what you like and leave the rest. Here again is Pastor Michael.
And we have more news here on the Friday evening fireside chat. Well, happy Pride Month. And as Pride Month continues, there has been, unfortunately, more pushback from individuals, especially from towns, who are homophobic. The ACLU sues a small town after rescinding Pride Festival approval. The ACLU of Indiana is suing the city of Lugoti, Indiana, after it rescinded approval for the town's Pride Festival and gave the organizers no opportunity to get approval, allegedly causing a First Amendment violation. The complaint discusses the alleged unfair treatment that Pride Fest organizers have faced in their efforts after being initially approved. Now, they were approved last year to do this in November for a September 7th celebration this year. The city suddenly rescinded its offer in an ordinance that was presented in February. An additional ordinance was passed on June 10th that further tightened restrictions on Pride Fest. So the article goes on to say that, again, that the ACLU of Indiana is going to take these individuals to court. And again, they already had approval for this, for the Pride Festival. And again, the article also pointed out, additionally, a church held a barbecue just near City Hall, which had no discussion at any public council meetings. Also, other festivals that were more costly for the city and required more road closures were greenlit, were approved, including Lugoti's Summer Festival, which is a 3-day event, compared to Pride Fest's single day for only 7 hours. So the ACLU is suing to get rid of this public events ordinance for First Amendment violations to cover the cost of damages faced by Pride Fest organizers, because you have to put out a lot of money up front for staging, for vendors to prepare for something like this, and to allow Pride Fest 2024 to occur. LGBTQ Nation, of which that's where I get most of my LGBTQ plus information, reached out to the mayor's office for comment. However, Mr. Mayor was not available at the time of the call, and the article will be updated accordingly. Reverend Jeff Radcliff.
Well, I can't speak to that particular Pride event, but I can speak to one that happened here on June 1st in Franklin, Tennessee, which is it's a bedroom community of Nashville. It's south of Nashville.
Yes.
And a lot of money lives there. A lot of country music folk live down in that direction.
And a lot of Christian organizations have their headquarters in Franklin.
It's interesting. But they had their Pride Festival, but a guest city council would not allow them to have drag performances. And I mean, Pride went on. There were some people who were saying, well, if it's not all inclusive, maybe we should just boycott. But Pride went on. Here where I live near Clarksville, which is less than an hour drive outside of Nashville. They're having their first Pride, their very first Pride on, I think it's the 29th of this month.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, that would be a Saturday. And it's just a quick little one-day event. It's not even going to, there's not even going to be a parade, as I understand. It's just going to be, the vendors and exhibits and things of that nature at one of the city parks. And people are losing their ever-loving minds over this. It's funny, and I have to wonder if all of these people who are pulling their Bibles out and banging folks over the head with them are actually sitting with their little butts in church on Sunday. I can't imagine why the churches are shutting down, and because you mention anything that's related to the rainbow community, anything that's LGBTQ plus related, and you've got folks coming out of the woodwork like cockroaches. Whether or not they're actually, like I said, in church on Sunday, it kind of makes me wonder. But boy, they're ready to misquote the Bible and pull out Old Testament scriptures to condemn people.
Taken well out of context.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. You ain't seen nothing yet, Jeff. Okay. Also in the news this week, hate pastor claims schools have restroom litter boxes for students who identify as cats.
I thought they debunked that a long time ago.
Well, we'll get to that here. Now, his solution is exorcisms in schools. Now, Reverend Jeff Radcliff used to perform exorcisms when he was in the Pentecostal church years ago. I don't know, Jeff, you may have to dust off your exorcism manual and go back. Okay. This is the story. It says a Christian nationalist pastor and self-proclaimed prophet is spreading the lie that schools are putting litter boxes in bathrooms because mentally disturbed, demonically possessed students are identifying as cats, of which Jeff just said has been debunked. The claim, again, has been repeatedly refuted by school districts and journalists, but the right-wingers are constantly saying that this is a way to, again, to vilify schools with transgender inclusive policies. Okay, so Hank Kuhnerman, who is the senior pastor of the Lord of Hosts Church in Omaha, Nebraska, in a recent sermon said this: I've never seen the level of evil that we have today. It's darkness, and it is gross darkness. Come on. Have you ever seen so grotesque, like putting a litter box in school bathrooms because you're a cat? No, you're not. You're mentally disturbed, demonically possessed or oppressed, and you need to get the devil cast out of you. Can I get an amen? Of course, I'm making fun of the good pastor, but anyhow, and I think he's misdirected. But he continues, I can't make this stuff up. He says, and the goofball administrations need a deliverance session also. If number 45, and again, he said number 45, he didn't mention Donald Trump from the pulpit. If number 45 comes back, we need to put deliverance rooms in every single school, march the teachers. Come on, school boards, march them through. Where am I going now? Well, you're about to find out. Here's the bag. And again, these are the words of Hank Kuhnerman. What's that bag? Because every one of your liberal demons and rhinoceros devils are going to come out. Yes, and it has been debunked by many organizations. Comment, Reverend Jeff Radcliff.
Well, you see, I used to attend a church very much similar to that. But this preacher so far out on a limb, you can hear the wood crack. I mean, if he were to step foot into my old church, which was the Garden of Eden Church of the Flaming Sword of Truth Pentecostal Church and Bait and Tackle Shop.
With the emphasis on the bait and tackle.
There you go.
Okay.
We'd baited him and then tackled him to pray the devil out of him because this man's just nuts. I mean,
exorcism rooms in schools?
The fact that he even thinks that this conspiracy theory that he's trying to push is a thing. Number one, he needs somebody to pray the devil out of him. But then, yeah, exorcism rooms in schools, that's just.
All right. We have final story time.
We love him anyway. He's a child of God.
Yes.
He is a divine incarnation of spirit who is just currently expressing as Looney Tunes.
Absolutely. Let's see who else.
That's his right.
It says, Michael, you do your imitation too well. That's because I grew up in the church. And that's what I heard on Sundays. All right. So let's go to our last story because this is the one fun one that
You've been waiting for this one.
Oh, I have been. As I page past all of my 17 pages of copy.
Yeah. You needed somebody to do an exorcism on you when you were writing this stuff.
Take note, spiritual director Diana Mangus. You may have to cast the devil out of me. So with cheekiness and fawning excitement, comedians meet Pope Francis today. It's like meeting or the meeting of every poorly behaved kid in the church, and they stuck them all in a room and they thought it would be a good idea. Jim Gaffigan told reporters after Jimmy Fallon, Stephen Colbert, and also more than 100 comedians from around the world met Pope Francis on Friday. As to illustrate Gaffigan's point, Fallon stood up just before the Pope entered the audience hall and pretended to greet the room from the papal chair to uproarious laughter. Gaffigan described the mood in the Vatican Hall as ADHD cranked up. So Gaffigan and Colbert, both practicing Catholics, were asked by the Vatican organizers to put together a list of American comedians who would meet the Pope. And they were like, well, we don't want you to do any material. well, then you can't invite any comedians. Gaffigan said some of the comedians invited were Whoopi Goldberg, Kathleen Madigan, Conan O'Brien, Chris Rock, and David Sedaris. And they made the list of comedic representatives from the United States. So I thought, you know what? We're gonna celebrate that this evening by doing some Pope jokes. Jeff is looking at me going, what are you about to do? Okay. So the Pope dies and stands before the gates of heaven. He knocks and St. Peter opens the gate. St. Peter says, yes, how can I help you? And the Pope says, I want to speak with God. And St. Peter says, well, and you are? And the Pope, being frustrated, says, I'm the Pope. And St. Peter says, doesn't ring a bell. So the Pope became very angry and says, I demand to speak with God. And so St. Peter closes the gate and goes to God. And St. Peter says, my Lord, there is someone who wants to talk with you. And God says, who? St. Peter says he calls himself the Pope. And God says, who is that supposed to be? And St. Peter says, I don't know. What should we do with him? And God said, let's let Jesus talk to him. He spent some time down there. So Jesus goes and talks to the Pope. A few minutes later, Jesus returns laughing like there is no tomorrow. And God says, well, what's so funny, Jesus? And Jesus says, Father, you won't believe this. That fishing club I founded 2,000 years ago, it still exists. Not even a smile.
I read that same joke. We must have went to the same website for that. Did you see the one about the Pope doing the crossword puzzle on the plane?
Yeah, we're not going to say that
was
tonight.
Funny, but that's the one that I was referring to when I said, yeah, that's not appropriate.
Yeah, we're not going to do that one tonight.
So
but
we were on
it was on my list.
That? Yeah,
it was on my list to do, but I said, nah. I would like to get ordained in a couple of years in Centers for Spiritual Living. Okay. So do you have one?
No, I don't.
Oh, okay. So
I'm coming up blank on Pope jokes.
Okay, so this is my favorite one. Colonel Sanders calls the Pope and he says, Your Holiness, my business is losing money and I need help. I'll donate $10 million to the Vatican if you change the Lord's Prayer from give us this day our daily bread to give us this day our daily chicken. I'm sorry, Colonel, the Pope replies. I cannot change the word of God. I wish you good luck with your business. So a month later, the Colonel calls again, even more desperate. He said $50 million to the Vatican if you change the Lord's Prayer from give us this day our daily bread to give us this day our daily chicken. Once again, the Pope replied, I'm sorry, Colonel Sanders. The word of God is sacred and cannot be changed. You'll have to try something else. So a month later, Colonel Sanders calls back in pure desperation. He says, please, Your Holiness, my sales are in the hole. I'll donate $100 million to the Vatican if you change the Lord's Prayer from give us this day our daily bread to give us this day our daily chicken. So the Pope sighs and says, okay, let me get back to you. So then he calls up the College of Cardinals and all the bishops. And he says, gentlemen, I have some good news and some bad news. The good news is that KFC will be donating $100 million to the Vatican. And so the bishops and the cardinals all erupt in a big cheer. And after quieting down, one asks, well, what's the bad news? And the Pope replies solemnly, we will be losing the Wonder Bread account.
You should be glad you're not Catholic, because they'd have tossed you out.
Well, I was Catholic at one point.
And you're not anymore. What they?
I'm not anymore. That's right. I think they did toss me out. Well, again, good for the Pope inviting comedians to the Vatican. Okay, hold it here. Rim shot, not. Oh, I'm going to hear it later. Well, again, breaking news from the Spiritual Broadcasting Systems newsroom, not this weekend, but the following weekend on June 23rd. The Reverend Jeff Radcliff will be speaking at Summit Center for Spiritual Living on a topic we do not know yet.
And neither does he.
And neither does he, but he will find out. So next week, we will have a replay of a past show because yours truly has 3 weddings next week, possibly 4. People wanting to get married in June here in Ohio. And so we'll have a replay next week, but the following week, yes, we will be back with another fun-filled, thrill-packed, and yes, guaranteed exciting edition of the Fireside Chat here on your New Thought Media Network. Reverend Jeff, any parting words?
It's just been so much going on in the news, and we only touched on a few things. But if nothing else, always remember that no matter what it looks like, all is well, because it all starts within our consciousness.
Yes.
If we keep our consciousness raised and we keep it up there, then things are going to turn out. But even if you don't have your consciousness up where it needs to be, even if you're projecting some bad stuff into your life, it's still never as bad as what we imagine. No. The worst things that I have ever imagined in my life never even came true. But it would behoove you to be like me and don't do that anymore, to the best of your ability. So yeah, just remember that no matter how bleak it looks, no matter how bad it looks, it's never going to be as bad as you think.
Great parting words from the Reverend Jeff Radcliff. And again, thank you, sir, for coming on the show and putting up with myself. And I know I'm going to get chewed out by Diana. As soon as I get off the air, I know that the voice will be Michael. Yes.
And I'll be like this because I don't want to hear it.
Jeff, thank you again. Just stay tuned or stay in the green room for a moment, and I'll be right with you. Again, thank you, everyone, for being with us this evening. Again, join us again. We'll have a best of program next week, and then the following week, yes, we will have another fun-filled, thrill-packed, and yes, guaranteed exciting edition of the Fireside Chat here on your New Thought Media Network. Again, on behalf of Reverend Jeff Radcliff and also all of our staff here at NT Media, I am Reverend Michael Mangus. I'm going to wish you a very pleasant good night and also have a great week.
Thanks for joining us this evening for Friday's Fireside Chat with Pastor Michael Mangus. Join us again next week at 8 Eastern, 6 Mountain for more spiritual conversations for today. For more information and replays of past shows, please visit the New Thought Radio and Media Network's Facebook page. Until next week, may God bless you richly and abundantly.